So in this type of situation, what is happening is when you're in that position where someone is asking you a question and you feel on edge and you feel like you have to over-explain yourself, this is a trauma response because your brain is perceiving this situation as a threat. Let's say, for example, this person is asking you out to go to a party and you don't want to or you can't, and you know that you have to say no. By you saying no, your brain is telling you that this is going to cause an argument, it's going to cause conflict, this person is going to get angry at you. So you freak out and you're like, fuck, how do I deal with this threat right now? How do I put myself back into the safe zone so that this person doesn't get angry or judge me or whatever? So your brain is like, let's give them a 5-page essay explaining why we can't come out this weekend, and let's make sure we hit all the points and it's perfect and it's precise and it's, you know, accommodating to their emotional needs and their expectations of who they think that you are, so that they don't hate on you or get upset at you or whatever. Hey baddies, what's up? It's your girl Sanem and you're watching my channel, That's the Tea on Life, where I spill the tea on life and I give you my tips on how to become the most confident and authentic version of yourself. Today I want to talk about breaking the habit of over-explaining, because I feel like for a lot of us, we feel like we owe people an explanation around the choices that we make and the decisions and why we do this and why we say that. Over-explaining can stem from so many different things. Sometimes we just like to kiki and kaka and it's not even coming from a negative place. We just like to spill all the tea and nothing but the tea and every drop of the tea. If that's coming from a empowered place and you feel confident and healthy and strong within yourself, then chat away, honey. A lot of the time, if not most of the time, I think over-explaining is coming from more of a trauma. It's a trauma response, you know? And, you know, sometimes it comes from this place of needing to be perfect. I feel like we have to be this perfect, you know, shining star of a person. That is really just to deflect people from seeing us the way that we see ourselves, which is flawed, you know? So it's just a mask. And if that's the case, then you need to dig a little bit deeper and figure out, like, why do I feel that need to be perfect? Where is that stemming from, you know? Because maybe then you can break that habit of feeling like you have to over-explain and give that perfect response. Sometimes it's this need for community and for connection. We feel like we need people to understand us and see us so badly because we feel like we lack that, and we feel like if we really just over-explain ourselves, then people will understand us a little bit better. But here's the thing, you should focus on understanding and, you know, seeing yourself first for who you are and loving yourself. And when you do that, then you start to glow differently. Your light starts to shine and you literally attract moths to the flame. You start attracting people that just, they understand you, they see you, they love you. You know, you shouldn't have to overly exert yourself so much just to get a connection with someone. What I want to focus on talking about today is over-explaining coming from this place of fear and anxiety, because what that is people pleasing. We're trying to provide what we believe is a good enough response that will justify why we made a certain decision, because then hopefully this person will see us a little bit better and understand us better, and it will avoid conflict, you know, we'll avoid an argument or avoid them getting angry at us or judging us. Breaking this habit for me is something that has improved my confidence so much, because going from constantly feeling like you owe everyone something to breaking through that and realizing, hang on, I don't owe anyone shit, this is my life and I'm free to live it how I want and I don't have to say anything about it. That in itself is such a confidence booster. Now look, obviously there are some situations that do require an explanation from us. You know, we don't want to go into life thinking that we can just do whatever we want and people can just you know, be affected by that and they can suffer the consequences of our actions. No, we are responsible for that, and we still want to be mindful of people. We still want to treat people the way that we want to be treated. But hey, sometimes we focus way too much on other people's emotional needs and their expectations of us, and we are so fearful of, you know, being labeled negatively, and we're so fearful of people judging us, and, you know, we feel like we have to over-explain so that we look better to people. Something that I've learned is that you can over-explain until the cows come home, and this person's opinion of you is not going to change because they could already have their opinion set of who they think you are in their head. The thing is, you don't know what this person is thinking. You really don't. They can say anything to your face, but deep down, you know what they're thinking, you know? And putting so much energy into trying to figure that out and trying to control that so that you can look better to this person, it's just a waste of your time. It's a waste of your time, and there are so many other things in life that require that precious time and energy, and someone's opinion of you really should be, you know, last on your list. I understand it's like one of the hardest things to not give a fuck about, but trust me, you should really just be focusing on accepting and loving yourself first. You need to focus on your own opinion of yourself before anyone else's. I stopped explaining myself when I realized that I'm under no obligation to explain myself. There's no law that's forcing me to constantly justify and explain my reason for doing this or my reason for saying that. But you know, my anxiety always ran so deep that that's how it felt for me a majority of the time. I always felt like I owed that to people. And I had to ask myself, why do I feel like I owe that to people? When it's not their life, it's my life, and it's not their body, it's my body. So, you know, really, it's none of their damn business. And what's worse, why do I feel like I needed their, you know, their approval and their validation around the decisions and the choices that I make? And where that was all coming from was this place of insecurity. You know, I was so fearful of people judging me because I needed people's approval so that I could approve of myself, you know, because if other people didn't like me, then I didn't really have a reason to like myself. In fact, that would kind of just reaffirm this internal belief I had of myself that I'm not good enough, that I'm not lovable, and yada, yada, yada. Over-explaining for me was a method of control. That is what over-explaining is, pretty much. And if there's anything I've learned in this lifetime, it's that you have to release control, okay? That is the secret ingredient to life, is letting go and releasing control, and everything else will just fall into place. You know, that is just the secret ingredient to a happy, successful, abundant, and most of all, peaceful life. And here's the thing, you are not put onto this earth to cater to everyone else's emotional needs and expectations. You're allowed to live your life the way that you want to live it, okay? You're allowed to say no. You're allowed to make the decisions and the choices that you want to make, and you don't have to say shit about it at the end of the day. You really don't. Just as long as you lead with good intentions and, you know, you're a genuine person and you're not out to hurt anyone else and you're just looking out for yourself and doing your own thing, then if people get upset at that, then let them get upset. You can't avoid that. You're going to let people down sometimes. People are going to be upset at you sometimes. That is inevitable. And I know a lot of us, you know, we're so fearful of letting other people down and upsetting people, but you can't live life that way. Think about how long the average person lives their life and how many people they meet in their lifetime. Do you really think that you're not going to upset anyone? You are not a bad person for being a little bit selfish and doing you and putting yourself first. And if someone gets upset, their reaction is no correlation to your self-worth, okay? Just because someone gets upset, you do not let that eat at you, and do not label yourself as a bad person. People pleasing in this type of situation can also be known as fawning. Now, what fawning is it's a trauma response, right? And a trauma response is our brain's reaction to perceived threat. Keyword here being perceived, okay? And we have four different trauma responses. We have our fight and flight. I'm having a spasm. Fight and flight, right? We've heard of that before. Fight, we take action towards the threat. Flight, we try and avoid it somehow, you know? There's also freeze. Freeze is when we freeze up, we dissociate, we feel stuck, we don't know how to move forward in dealing with this threat. And then we have fawning. We have fawn, which is basically soothing or comforting the threat. So in this type of situation, what is happening is when you're in that position where someone is asking you a question and you feel on edge and you feel like you have to over-explain yourself, this is a trauma response because your brain is perceiving this situation as a threat. Say, for example, this person is asking you out to go to a party and you don't want to, or you can't, and you know that you have to say no. By you saying no, your brain is telling you that this is going to cause an argument, it's going to cause conflict, this person is going to get angry at you. So you freak out and you're like, fuck, how do I deal with this threat right now? How do I put myself back into the safe zone so that this person doesn't get angry or judge me or whatever? So your brain is like, let's give them a 5-page essay explaining why we can't come out this weekend, and let's make sure we hit all the points and it's perfect and it's precise and it's, you know, accommodating to their emotional needs and their expectations of who they think that you are, so that they don't hate on you or get upset at you, whatever. So that is pretty much soothing the threat, right? That is fawning right in that instance. And that's what I came to realize. When I got swept up into that over-explaining, I realized that it was a trauma response, and I had to figure out where did that trauma response come from, because it didn't just come out of thin air. That was a learnt behavior that has stemmed from somewhere. And what I learned is that children adopt this learnt behavior when they are exposed to high levels of abuse. And that is something that I had to go through in my childhood with my dad. You know, he was an absolute tyrant. Me and him, like, we're all good now. Like, we've made peace. This was, fuck, how old am I now? This was over 10 years ago, probably like 12 years ago. You know, it was like the last time that we had our little like shindig. But when I was a little girl, you know, it's something I had to go through for years and years and years. And he was scary as fuck. You know, if you looked at him the wrong way, even if you were in his line of view, you know, you were his next target. And so I had to learn how to keep myself very small, and I pretty much adopted this good girl mentality where I learned how to act in a certain way and to speak in a certain way, so that I didn't trigger him and I didn't cop it from him. And of course, this made me extremely hypervigilant because I had to become really aware of my surroundings. I had to become aware of his behavior and his reactions, so that I could prepare myself for what was coming next, so I could act accordingly. And of course, this carried out into my adulthood, you know, for pretty much the remainder of my life. It's almost as if I became, it's like I expected conflict from people. I expected arguments. I expected people to be mad at me. I expected for me to always be making the wrong decisions and for people to be getting angry at that, you know. And of course, that was just, you know, delusions, but that was a behavior that my brain taught me to keep me safe as a little girl. And thank you, brain, for keeping me safe, because it did do me good back in the day, but that is something that doesn't serve me anymore. So that is a behavior that I had to firstly become aware of and then learn to unlearn, you know, because that behavior stemmed into this habit of over-explaining, because that, to me, was how I decided to soothe the threat. Because in my brain, I'm thinking, shit, like, you know, every decision, every choice I make, everything I do, like, people are going to get angry at me, people are going to judge me, yada, yada, yada. So I need to make sure that I can protect myself by fully explaining myself, and then I'll be in the safe zone. Do you feel what I'm trying to, do you hear me? Do you feel what I'm trying to get at? If that's sounding, you know, familiar to you, then I urge you to, you know, take the time to dig a little bit deeper and see if this over-explaining is stemming from something a little bit darker for you, because figuring that out and having that awareness is crucial. It's key. And I pray that everyone has awareness to some extent so that they can heal. That is the key to your healing journey. You have to be aware, sis, you know, you have to open those doors. And of course, you know, it takes time, it takes patience, it takes hard work to unearth these things and to, you know, shine the light on them. But, you know, your future self will be thanking you. Once I became aware of why I was over-explaining, I had to literally teach my brain that there is no danger. Okay, because like I said, I was in that trauma response, and I had to tell my brain, hey, there's no reason to be in this trauma response right now because there's no danger here. The best way to train your brain into understanding that you are safe is by, for example, let's say that someone asks you a question, just give them a shorter and more simpler answer. That's it. Using my previous example, someone asks you to come out over the weekend to this party they're going to, and for whatever reason you don't want to go. I'm going to give you guys an example on how to structure your response in this kind of situation. This is your friend. This is what they say. Hey girl, I got this amazing party on this weekend. You got to come with me. It's going to be so much fun. I need you there. We're going to have the best time. Let's go. Get ready. This is how you say it. Wow, that sounds like such a great time. That's so exciting. Thank you so much for thinking of me and giving me an invite. I'm actually so exhausted. I've had a full-on week, you know, but I hope you have the most amazing time. See, there I gave my reason, right? And I didn't even say no. And this is perfect if you're the kind of person who struggles to say no because you feel like it's too harsh. But I've said no without even saying no, right? And I think starting the response with excitement and gratitude, I don't know, I just think like it adds balance, because you still want to be stern, but you know, you can still be polite and you still want to be in that kind of feminine energy, right? And notice how I gave my reason. All I said was that I've had a full-on week and I need my rest this weekend. That's it. Because you still want to give your reason. You don't want to, you know, be an asshole and just say no, but you don't want to make it 5 pages long, right? A simple sentence is all you need. And by, you know, saying thank you, hope you have a great time, it's just a great way to, you know, tie up that conversation. Just giving it to them point blank, period. When you keep going on and on and on and you give too much in your reason, you're giving them too much information. You're opening more doors for them to negotiate with you, right? The more information you give this person, the more they're gonna nag you, the more leeway you're giving them, right? When you just give it to them point blank, period, like that, it is what it is, they're gonna respect that more, and they can tell that you've put down that line and put down that boundary. And like I said, most people will take the hint. When I ask someone a question, or I ask them to come out with me or whatever, and they're rambling on and on and on about why they can't do this thing, I can already tell that they're an anxious person. I can already tell that they were anxious to tell me no and to put their foot down. Whereas if I ask that question to someone else and they tell me no straight up, then I respect that a lot more, because I can tell that they're not concerned about, you know, how I'm gonna react to it. They're just doing their own thing and, you know, putting themselves first, putting their needs first. And I respect that in a person, I really do. And like I was saying before about using this method to train your brain into understanding that you are safe, is that you'll see people's reactions most of the time. You know, we're all grown adults here. People will understand that, you know, you have your own life and you have your own things going on, and that you're not always gonna do what they wanna do. You know, people can take that hint, and most people are understanding. And the more that your brain sees that, the easier it will get to give those shorter and simpler responses, and being able to place those boundaries more sternly and more confidently as well. You'll find it's going to strengthen your nervous system. It's going to widen that stress tolerance, because you're adopting this new habit and you're building these new neural pathways out of consistency. And you're strengthening your nervous system because it's relaxing. It's realizing, wait, there is no threat. I'm okay. I'm safe. It's that consistency of this practice that is going to help install this new belief, this new feeling that you are safe. So you have to keep going with it. You have to be really strict on yourself on being able to place those boundaries and being able to say no more easily. And that is how you get stronger. That is how you develop that stronger mindset around yourself. And you know, that's how things get a lot easier for you, and you just get more confident within yourself, really. My thought process every day is, okay, I'm that bitch and I am not going to let another person get between myself and the boundaries that I have set. And that boundary is that if I don't want to explain myself to someone, then I don't have to. I don't know if this is like an ego thing or conceited to say I don't really give a shit because it works for me anyway, but I just think, you know what, I'm that bitch and I don't have to answer to no one if I don't want to, really. And you know what, that is something that has helped me with my confidence so much, because it's helped me build this strong, unfuckable mentality. So in that moment when you are feeling that need to explain yourself to someone and you feel like you need to provide this answer to someone, take a deep breath, center yourself, and don't be afraid to be a little bit more stern, a little bit more harsh if this person isn't really, you know, respecting those boundaries or getting the picture. Thank you everyone for watching. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, give us a comment, let us know, and hit that subscribe button if you vibe with me, girl, because, you know, I probably vibe with you too. Alright, I love you guys so much, and I will see you next time. Bye.